Okay, let's talk about the Dubai Fitness Championship. And I wanted to make this video right after it ended on Sunday. And truthfully, I wasn't feeling very inspired to do it. I found Dubai to be a little bit disappointing. I hate to say it. I don't like to come out here and be, I don't know, I try to have a positive outlook, generally. I think there are reasons to be critical from time to time, but the weird thing about Dubai is it wasn't necessarily bad, right? I think overall, the broadcast was decent. I thought Brian Friend and Lucy Campbell did a pretty good job. I thought the stuff filmed inside of the tennis stadium all looked pretty good. The off-site stuff was a little bit, the stream wasn't as good, but that is the reality of most off-site things. And in some of these off-site competitions, we don't get any stream at all. So the fact that they did something and were able to put something together, awesome. Really nothing negative to say about that. Happy to see them trying and getting us what they can. It was better than having nothing. So really, yeah, nothing negative to say about that. But if you did watch the stream, you would notice one pretty big thing. And that was that, like, the seats were all empty. And I don't necessarily feel like Dubai is the competition that attracts the most people from a watching perspective. But gosh, it just felt like the energy was low, the whole competition. And it may partially have to do with the fact that there was, you know, the heaviness of what happened at the CrossFit Games sort of still weighing in a different way than it did at some other competitions. There was a Lazar tribute workout, which I thought was an awesome thing to do, but I do think it sort of changes the environment a little bit. It does make that ever present, and I do think it's something we shouldn't forget, but when it is that present, I think it could create a heaviness, and maybe that is a little bit of what we were feeling and why it didn't feel, there wasn't the same excitement. There wasn't these moments where you're like, that was amazing, and like you just feel really like excited, like you want to go to the gym, you want to work out, you want to like try to do what these people do in some ways. Like I didn't feel like that at all. It just felt like low energy and little bummed because Rogue was great and really enjoyed Rogue. And yes, Rogue had a huge attendance. I think they sold out every day. And you felt that. You felt that excitement from the fans. You felt that excitement from the athletes. And I did not feel that excitement from Dubai. And like I said, I don't know exactly what it was. And if you're somebody who watched Dubai and you felt like it was awesome, I want to hear that. So definitely put that in the comments below because I'm definitely willing to hear different opinions. But the competition just didn't wow me. I feel like it used to be one of the premier competitions. It used to be one of the ones we wait for during the off season. Like we want to see Dubai. We want to see the athletes that show up at Dubai. And I felt like it missed the mark. But let's talk about how people did anyway, because it is still a big competition. It does attract a lot of athletes. They have good payouts, and I do truly believe that some of these athletes are not competing in the CrossFit Games this year. So this one of the fewer opportunities to see them since that big event that we're so used to and that season, right? Talking about these athletes through the Open, through semifinals, through the sanctionals that we have, through the games. It's just not something we're going to do because they're not going to be competing in these places. So let's start on the men's side. And you had Luka Jukic, and he had won this event prior to the final event. You could see him soaking it all in. He was ahead by more than 100 points, and that means that like as long as you start the event, you're going to win it.
We already had an over 100-point lead. Your 2024 Dubai Fitness Champion is going to be Luka Jukic, and he points to the sky, which can only mean one thing. He told me, I'm not competing this week for my brother, I'm competing with him, as he pounded his chest. And you know right now that he's thinking about no one other than Lazar as he kneels down there, having done the job that he set out to do in September.
He said he had set out to win this event in his brother's honor after the 2024 CrossFit Games. He did that. He did it handedly. He had 740 points. The second person had 634. So that's a pretty significant win. Like I said, didn't even have to start that final event and was able to still win the entire competition. So cool to see Luka doing what he set out to do. And he is definitely one of the athletes that probably won't be competing in the CrossFit Games season. So this is one of your fewer opportunities to see him. I don't know if he's going to travel across the world to do Wadapalooza. I just don't know if that's where we're going to see him. He might just do a lot of European competitions, which tend to be broadcast a little bit less. So we just don't see as much of that. So definitely someone that if you want to see him, you're going to have to try a little bit harder if you want to follow his fitness career, if that's what he's calling it. I call it CrossFit. I still think it's CrossFit, but I know some other people prefer to call it fitness. So try to respect what people want for the most part. Okay, in second, we have Toby Buckland, who I don't know a whole ton about, but definitely after this performance, probably someone to watch as we get into the season if he competes in the CrossFit Open Games season. Definitely a name that maybe we have to pay a little bit more attention to going into this year. And in third, rounding out our podium, is not someone I had on my podium, not someone I thought that was going to podium, but someone I was like, just keep an eye on him. And that would be Bronislaw Olenkowicz. And I just thought that he would be, in the mix for top 10, but I didn't think he would be in this place. There were a couple running events. We know that's not his thing. But one of those was the obstacle race. And the obstacle race came down to a lot more than how fast you can do it. A lot of people didn't even finish it. So the fact that he was able to stay in it was just enough for him to do well. He played it well versus getting knocked out early. He was able to do the obstacles, complete it, and that really made some of the biggest differences here. So even though that was a run, and he did the run, the 1K run, he came in a 28th in out of 30. And Moritz Fiebig pulled out. So he basically came in last, second to last. So that's not his thing. But if the running is involved with obstacles, if you play that right, you can do well. And he knew what he was doing. Bronislaw knew what he was doing and played the competition to his strengths. So really cool to see him end up on the podium. He actually won the Lazar tribute workout, so that's pretty cool too. And he is 35. He went to the Masters CrossFit Games next year, so not sure how much we'll be seeing him on the individual side, but he's still competing, still doing well, and can still hang with the younger guys. So then going down the list, we have Tola in 5th, which is a really solid finish for him. I believe the top 6 get a bigger payout than the rest of the competitors. So great for Tola to go there and get that. Spencer Panchek, finishing in 6th, so also likely getting a bigger payout. So some good things from these guys. Spencer is someone I would guess we are going to see in the CrossFit season this year, just because of his family's relationship to CrossFit. I believe that he is someone who would still be open to competing. We'll have to see with a lot of these people, but if I was making guesses, that would be my guess for Spencer. Going down the list, we have Jake Douglas in 9th, Yorgos Karvis in 10th, Ben Fowler in 16th. So a lot of people ending up sort of where you expected him, sort of people in the top 10 that we expected to be in the top 10 at the end of the weekend, except for Moritz Fiebig, who I said pulled out, so we didn't get to see him compete. And he's also another one I'm not sure will compete in the CrossFit Games season. And maybe not competing in this competition changed what he's going to do. We'll have to see. Going over to the women's side, we have a repeat champ in Karen Frey, having a pretty dominant victory. She wasn't in first the whole time, but she worked her way through the leaderboard. She did well on the final day. Sometimes that's what you need to do, just really push it on the last day and make your moves. She finished with a first, and a 4th the final day. If you're going to do that, it's going to be hard for people to keep up. And she was about 70 points ahead of second place, which, yes, the women's side, we actually have some more surprises. In second, we had Jamie Simmons, who has been competing in this competition, not every year, but for more than a decade since her first appearance to this one. So she's been around for a long time, been competitive for a long time, and still is competitive. I believe her team pulled out this summer after the Lazar situation, so I don't know her personal plans. We may not see as much of her, but also she did really well here. Her training and what she's doing is obviously working, so it makes you wonder if she is planning on making a run. And in third, we have Matilda Oyen Garnes. She is someone I thought could possibly win this whole thing, didn't, but still made the podium. Third is solid. She was only 2 points behind Jamie Simmons, so not a whole lot, but she did decently in this competition, and she is another one who I think may not be competing in the game season this year, just because of her relationship with Lazar and how it seems to have affected her. But she's also part of Krieger training, and I do believe some of those people are doing the games this year, so maybe, I don't know. We got a lot. Speculation. We are definitely in the speculation time of the things. So in fourth, we have Andrea Solberg, who did really well. I think she impressed a lot of people to be this close to the podium. I thought she was someone to keep your eye on. I thought she would be top 10 potential, but fourth, nearly pushing for the podium. That's really good for her. She did well in some events you don't think she would do as well in, some events that had machines, and she's a smaller athlete. So pretty impressed with her and think that she could make a run this CrossFit Games season if she decides to compete. Number five. Number five is a wild one. Number five is Kristen Holte. And I don't think she was planning on doing this competition from what I understand. She was doing the workouts, the qualifier workouts with some of the Krieger athletes. And one of the coaches submitted her scores. And she qualified. And she finished in fifth. And I believe I heard on the broadcast that Brian Friend said that she asked him, like, who's the oldest person, the oldest woman to have qualified for the CrossFit Games? So that makes me think that she may be making a run. Now, I believe she is 38, and I also believe that Sam Briggs qualified for the games at 40. So I don't think she would get that title yet. She can keep going. She can wait a couple years and then try to qualify. But it's not unheard of. It's not out of the realm of possibilities for somebody who's 38 to make a run for the CrossFit Games. And with this year possibly looking different, right? With some athletes choosing not to compete in the season who were basically shoo-ins, right? Like if Laura Horvath chooses not to compete in the CrossFit Games season, I don't think many of us doubt that she could have qualified for the games. So that's another spot that just open that would have been likely locked up by someone else. Gabby Magala, she's not competing for different reasons. She had her surgery. She's working on getting her Achilles fixed, but she's not competing, I don't think, unless she makes like some miraculous recovery. So again, another position that's open with people choosing not to compete or injuries. Paige Powers is pregnant. She'll have given birth by then, but I don't think she will be able to do the open and stuff like that to compete in the CrossFit Games this year. I think she'll probably have to wait till 2026, unless she tries. I mean, maybe. We saw Tia compete through the open pregnant and make quarterfinals and stuff. So it's not totally out of the possibilities, but it looks like we're going to have some spots open that we didn't expect. Some athletes that would have been locks that aren't competing. So could leave openings for someone like Kristen Holte, who wants to make a comeback, to have that be a little bit more probable. So that'll be interesting to see as it unravels throughout the season. Couple other names, Alicia Fuliano finishing in 9th, Hannah Black finishing in 10th, Linda Kiesman in 11th, Annika Greer in 12th. Now, I'm sure all of those athletes wanted to do a little bit better than that, but I actually think it's not a bad place for Annika Greer to finish. This competition had some running in it. Running is not her thing. There were 2 events that had a lot of running in it. And she hasn't competed in a while. She's taken off some time after semifinals to dial things in. And 12th, this is still a pretty competitive field at Dubai. So I think Annika Greer is someone else who I think is going to make that push for the games again this year. She's done it a few times, and I think she's going to try to do it again this year. I think it's a good start. Good start for her season. Excited to see how the rest of it goes. Anyway, to wrap this up, Dubai was not what I thought it would be. I can't get over the fact that I still feel a little bit disappointed by it. There was some confusion, even some confusion about some reps. You heard that on the broadcast.
Not quite understanding where the finish line is.
What is going on?
There were definitely some no reps on some sandbag squats. It wasn't what I hoped it would be. I hope next year that maybe there's a little bit more excitement surrounding it, a little bit more excitement in the stands, a little bit more excitement among the athletes. At the end of the day, part of these competitions are entertainment, right? Like, all of us watching them, we're watching them to be entertained. It's why a lot of people watch any sports that we watch, right? CrossFit, football, basketball, baseball. I mean, when you're watching these things, you do want to be entertained. You do want exciting storylines. You do want to feel like energy that makes you want to get out of your seat and cheer. And I just didn't feel that at Dubai. A saving grace to all of this is that I don't think it's necessarily an overarching CrossFit problem, because I did feel that excitement at Rogue. And that was post-2024 games. I think Wodapalooza is going to be really exciting. We have a lot of great names going to Wodapalooza. I will definitely do videos on that, so subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. I think that'll be exciting in January. But Dubai was flat. Fell flat for me, unfortunately. But I enjoy getting some CrossFit content whenever I can, so I am glad I got to watch it. I just was hoping for a bit more and didn't get it this year. Always have next year. All right, I appreciate you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe, like this video if you had a good time. Leave a comment. If you think it had great vibes and you feel totally differently than me, I do want to hear that, because I would love to hear that other people were like, no, this was a fantastic competition and I can't wait to watch next year. I want to hear that. And I want other people to see that in the comments if that's true. It's okay to disagree with me. It's okay to feel like you loved something that I didn't love. That's good. I'm glad it reached someone. I'm glad it worked out for someone. I'm glad someone else was like, this is so good, because I wasn't. Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. Kirsten, want to say bye? Okay, say bye. Bye, Kirsten. Bye. Oh, bye.